My name is Ashley Collins. Welcome to the Breakup Diaries. Meet.
Santos Jr. So I don't know, that was cute for me.
So introduce yourself to us.
Yes, my name is Santos Jr. I am 28 years old and I'm in the many a journeys as everyone else trying to progress through the acting world, and here we are. Thanks for
You're not
having me.
28, are you?
Yeah. I just turned 28 in June. Yeah, man. Father Time's undefeated. So
How old is Nick? Oh my God.
he's turning 28 in November, I think.
What? When
I
did
want to
that
say.
happen?
It just
Okay, well, we're gonna do a lot of this. So tell them how we know each other because the people are probably super curious right
Yeah, so I met your brother Nick back in, I want to say, summer of second grade going into third grade, and we grew up in the same neighborhood over Plantation. It still exists here in Tampa, um, over by like near the Citrus Park, over like off of Gun Highway, I think it is, if I'm
now.
not mistaken. And we've known each other a whole lifetime. I still keep up with them today, and it's been a little bit. Spent a little bit of time, but I was always at Ashley's house all the time for any particular ridiculous reason. And we ate unhealthy amount of hot dogs, I'm sure, in our lifetime as well.
Yeah.
But that was always the go-to survival snack, so we were always grateful. But you guys have a great family, and everybody's always been fantastic, and accepting of everybody in the neighborhood, good or bad, which is fantastic. And, here we are. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you do. And that's going to segue into tell us about Deleted Reality, which is like the dopest show on all of YouTube. Like, you guys should definitely check it out. I'm going to say it again slowly. Deleted Reality. Watch
yes.
it on YouTube. Tell us about it. How did you get into it? Tell us your origin story.
Yes. First of all, thank you for the shout out. And yes, it's a fantastic show. Everybody should check it out. But essentially, I was involved originally. Demetrius Diaz was the creator of the series, and he had a friend, unfortunately, commit suicide, and it's something that he had been dealing with for a while. And he reached out to Alex Miller, which they've been friends growing up. And I went to I actually studied in school with Alex Miller. We both went to acting school together. And he had told Diaz about me. He said, "Hey, I think this guy would be good for it." And we did a short film. A lot of people don't know. We did a deleted reality short 5-minute film
Okay.
before the whole series. You can actually see it probably early in that channel. Really early. Um, and it was just like a mock-up concept of what we wanted to do to pitch the idea. But once they pitched it to someone had mentioned that it would be great as a series to be able to show the different types of mental health versus just pointing one out, to saying, "Oh, this person has this problem," and then it doesn't necessarily speak for everyone else.
Mhm.
So, um, and that's how the series was made. We kind of essentially just show the different types of levels of what could be. And it kind of just opens up that segue for everybody to understand what it is, more or less. So,
Interesting. How cool. How cool. What made you get it? Sorry, it's not one of the questions. Oh, no, that is the next question. What? Look how good I am.
you're on point, man. You're on point.
I'm kind of good at this. What made you want it to be an actor, director, and how hard is it to do both?
Well, to do both is it's a chore. I'll explain after. But actually, I tell everybody my favorite actor till this day, and probably always will be Johnny Depp. And I won't necessarily say he's maybe the best. He's just my personal favorite.
Uh-huh.
Because Johnny Depp to me has created that whole concept of when you're a child and somebody tells you like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I say something ridiculous like, "Oh, I want to be Willy Wonka." An adult has to explain to you like, "Oh, you can't be Willy Wonka when you grow up." Well, Johnny Depp is proof of that. He's played so many range of characters that it shows that this field, the true definition of you can be anything you want to be. is that, which is amazing in that sense.
Mhm.
Um, but my actual first inspiration for acting, believe it or not, it's gonna throw a lot of people off guard. But I don't know if you remember watching Disney Channel as a kid, and you remember a show called Smart Guy.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
yeah.
So that was the first time I realized like how amazing it is because I thought about the whole concept of like that's my top three favorite shows till this day. And his name is TJ. I know it's TJ Henderson in the show. I think it's Taj Mowry, his real name. Yeah,
Yes,
Taj
yes.
Mowry was probably my
The
first
Mari brother.
um, inspiration towards acting because just seeing like a 10-year old be in a high school was like the coolest thing because he's trying to keep up with like a whole generation that he hasn't caught up to.
Hmm.
And the fact that he outsmarts most of them was awesome. So that was the first real time that I was like, man, I would love to be like in a show like that with just like a bunch of grown folks and asking questions because I never wanted to like rush growing up like the modern person does. But at the same time, like I was always curious and asking a lot of questions to people about a lot of things. So that was my first major inspiration to act. Um, and that was really where I got like a lot of my. I started doing like musical theater in elementary school, and then I did some in middle school. I didn't do too much in high school,
Hmm.
because you know the whole. I fell into the whole trap of like, oh, you got to do sports, you got to do all the
Hmm.
boy stuff, and so. But eventually, I'm glad I fell back into it. But to answer the question about how hard is it to do both, for a lot of people, it's different. I mean, for me, I've never done a project where I've done both personally. But in the midst of things, it's when I direct something, I'm really OCD as far as like I want to dip my hands in everything.
Yeah.
The music, the cinematography, the script writing. So for me to be able to do that and perform, I mean, it would be a task, and I respect those who can do both. Um, great like John Krasinski from The Office is one that does that often. Ben Affleck does that often. Those are guys that are just fantastic at doing those. So
Mm.
um, for those who can do both, I commend you. But if I could stay performing, that would probably be my maybe later on, I'd probably think about directing, but for now, I'd like to stick to my craft if I could.
Cool. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Um, what's the impact you want to leave people with this project?
Um, well, with the leader reality, the main purpose of the show is to really show um, what the positive and negative subconscious looks like, but in physical form. So the main impact from the beginning has always been like not just to raise awareness, because at the end of the day, a lot of things can be done to raise awareness, but what I love about the show is that, for example, let's say we're hanging out. I have mental health, you don't. I can always try to explain it to you, and you might be a good friend and try to comprehend it. But at the same time, people always say, like, oh, until you walk in somebody's shoes, you never really know. What deleted reality does is it can show people thoughts in physical form, and
Yeah,
then maybe by people visualizing it, because a lot of people only learn by our visual learners, they learn by just seeing something happen. And the whole point of the show is exactly that, is to be able to show people um, what it looks like in people's head and physical form. And we're hoping it just leaves that impact in people to like understand how devastating like one can be by just being alone with their own thoughts,
yeah.
like. Mhm.
Wow, that's heavy. That's so wow. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just like had a aha moment just there because there's only so much words. It's and I that's why I always have a very hard time communicating because I'm like, how can I explain to you with words how I feel?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I can so let me just show you instead. And I think
Right.
that's what I think is bloody brilliant about your freaking show, man. It's so
Yeah.
brilliant. Okay. What struggles do you have to personally mentally overcome as an individual?
um Well, I mean, a lot of times, especially in our field, um, yeah, I always say this to people, and I said it at the last time I was at a radio interview, and I try to
Is
explain
that
like,
with Tina?
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, oh my God, can I have her life?
Yeah,
I'm sure she worked hard for it, but
she
like,
does. Absolutely.
man, she's
That's no doubt. But we had the way I try to explain it to them is like as an actor, you have to I'm not gonna say you have to because I don't want to create that barrier between people, but I think having some sort of mental health or past mental health issues almost kind of helps in your career because when you felt every emotion, good and bad, it's a lot easier to emulate then as
Mm-hmm.
a performer. You know what I mean? So um, the unfortunate truth of like, hey, how are you so good at looking depressed? And it's like, oh, I've done it before. You know, it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
if you make great pancakes and they're like, how are you so good at making pancakes? I've done it before. And
Yeah,
mental health, unfortunately, works the same way.
yeah.
Um, so I think to be really one of the best performers, you have to be able to have felt everything to be able to emulate that. Um, so, we live in a career where we're told no 99% of the time, and we're fighting for that one yes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's the irony of it because we accept it because we're used to it. But if we go to 12 auditions and we get one callback, we consider it a win, which the common folk wouldn't, whatever their career might be, So it's a constant struggle, obviously, and a lot of people really question whether they should be continuing their career just because it's not going well at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's times we'll do a project and they'll be like, "Oh, it's $12,000 for a work week, or a week worth of work," and people are like, "Oh my God!" But then we don't see another job for 4 months, so $12,000 isn't going to last forever.
Yes. Oh my God, I was saying this the other day. Oh my God, I was
Yeah,
saying
so
the other
people
day.
hopefully get it and know that we're not balling just because we take some beautiful pictures on social media. But you
Yeah.
know, that's the constant struggle and people don't realize that. You know, they're like I said, I mean, 12 grand is great, but when you gotta stretch it 6, 8 months, it'll catch up to you, you know. So
Exactly.
that's really some of the constant struggles that you go with, but at the same time, like everybody that's made it in their career made it because they gambled on themselves. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I intend to continue doing so until the body can no longer do it.
What that this is not one of the questions, so forgive me for segueing. But
No,
so,
go
like,
ahead, go
what
ahead.
is like your dream role?
Um, um, well, my dream role, like if I got to pick a dream role out of nowhere, it would be to play probably a Sith Lord in the Star Wars series. Um,
Shut
yeah,
up.
I love the idea of like, and a
Yeah.
lot of people give me a lot of crazy looks for this, but the new series with Kylo Ren, like I know everybody's like a huge Darth Vader fan, but I
Mm-hmm.
love the concept of Kylo Ren because he's a lot more relatable.
He
Like
is.
he really wants to be great, and this even though it's for the bad guys, and I'm not, aiming to do the right thing for the bad guys in real life, but his passion for what he wants to do is so great, and
Mm-hmm.
like I feel that shit. Excuse me, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss or not, but
No,
I
no, yeah,
feel
I curse
that.
all the time.
But
Yeah.
I just feel his whole thing, and I envy Adam Driver so much because a lot of the emotions that he felt is so real because he's a veteran. He was a Marine. So I would love to do that role just to be able to add more of the passion towards what the Sith Lords are in the world of Star Wars. For those who know, but other than that, I like to do anything that challenges me for sure. I mean, I'm dying for anything that makes me shave my head or whatever the case might be. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of concepts that you know, I don't, like I said, particularly like to write and create a project and then act in it myself. But you
What
know,
you write too?
well, I mean, no, I've never really written. I mean, anybody who's a director can probably sit down and write something, whether it'll be good or not. It just varies on how you direct it.
Uh-huh.
But I can't say that I'm a writer because anybody who's a writer has passion for it and they are fantastic at it.
Uh-huh.
And the patience they have to do it is beyond anything I'll be able to ever comprehend. um, But that, I mean, Star Wars and anything on my favorite video game series, if I can play anything off of that, I would love to do something like that. A lot of people probably haven't heard of it, but my favorite series growing up was a series called Metal Gear Solid, and there's a character named Psycho Mantis, and
Hmm.
that would be like probably the second biggest role I would ever want to do. And to just not to segue too much off of it, but his character pretty much um, got dropped off like in the middle of the battlefield when he was like 7 years old, and then like he discovered that he had like these mind power abilities, but he had to figure all that on his own. Like his parents knew about it, but his parents died in the war, so he grows up in this battlefield. So all he has is hate all of his life, but
Uh-huh.
he always wins because he's found a way to be able to control people's minds. So, and he's a minimalist. He like shaves his eyebrows, his head, everything, because he says nothing is important in this world. So he always keeps himself just dressed in all black with nothing, and it's correct when you see it. Like it's amazing. It's kind of like the Thanos theory. Like when you look at listen to Thanos talk in the new Marvel film, is like he has like, oh, let's get rid of half the people in this world that are a waste, and it's like morally that's wrong,
Yeah.
but at the same time you start to think like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, and it's
Yeah.
scary, but it's true.
It's
Um,
true. Yeah.
Psycho Mantis is very big like that, but he takes matter into his own hands, which is pretty scary. Um, but after this, just research Psycho Mantis Metal
Yeah.
Gear.
I'm gonna
You'll
like.
see it. But that actually, that I would probably put that as my number one role that I would like to do. I'll put Sith Lord number two. I would love to do Psycho Mantis anyway, and there's never been a Metal Gear film yet, so we'll
That
see.
sounds so
We'll
cool.
see.
I'm
Yeah,
definitely
it would be
research that.
fantastic.
See, what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue acting?
Um, Boy, growing up, when I used to look up, when the internet first started and YouTube was hot, I would always look up a lot of actors talk about their history and stuff. And I used to hear this cliche saying all the time of like, "Oh, don't do it because it's hard." And I used to really think how selfish that was, and
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's fairly selfish. I wouldn't say I 100% disagree, but the arts, man, if you're not 100% passionate, don't do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And vice versa. If you're 100% passionate, don't do anything else but that.
Oh, don't
Um,
say that.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
my.
And I think it's true because when you really think about it, it's like Jim Carrey said one of the greatest things ever said, I think, by a human, where he said, his dad used to want to be a comedian as well, but
Mm-hmm.
he took a safe accounting job. And after 15 years, he got let go from the safe job.
Yeah.
And the concept and the idea of you failing at something that you don't like to do, and you might as well take your risk at something you do. And I think that's very important for the human mind, where, for the most of us, if you and I made a living off of acting and nothing more, we'd be happy because
Yeah.
we're doing what we want to do and we're not committing spiritual suicide. For those who want to do it, if you're not quite sure how you feel about it, well, go give it a shot. Take a
Yeah.
theater class in college, or take it as an elective in high school. And if you don't feel fire immediately, it's probably not for you. But I mean, but everybody's emotion is different. Some people, might take two or three tries, whatever the case might be. But for those who are 100% passionate about it, don't ever do anything else because you'll regret it. You'll always see, especially now in this community, we have a lot of common friends on Facebook that we haven't even met, but we added them by seeing their projects. And the minute you stop doing it, you're always gonna be upset, not be mad at them, but be upset seeing other people do what they love and knowing that you gave up on yourself. So um, I would always say, give it a whirl, man. Whether you want to take an iPhone and shoot a short, silly film and give it a shot, like that's your stuff, regardless of how it looks, that's yours. And be prideful of everything you do. Um, and that's the best advice I can really give. If it's for you, do it. If it's not, don't, because it's work. It's a lot of mental work for sure. So
I love that. Like, I think I just needed to hear that personally.
yeah, absolutely. No, and the thing about it is like I explained to you earlier, like we take a lot more losses than we do wins, and just keep fighting for that one win. You never know what that one win is gonna be for you. So just push for that.
I love that. Man, I'm so happy that I did this.
Good, good, good.
Oh my God, is it over? No, I have two more questions. Okay,
Yeah.
tell us tell us about your upcoming projects that you have personally.
Yes. So
And your
there's
baby.
been
Tell us about your baby.
yeah, there's been a couple. Oh yes, the baby is coming in February, maybe early
Nice
January.
baby.
Yes, we're excited. I wanted to have one at least, so
Mhm.
we figured we give it a whirl. I actually went to middle school with the young lady that I'm dating currently, and it was crazy how
Oh my
we
God.
connected. Yeah, it was real weird. It's a funny story. There was one point where she yelled at me for like being a man whore at the time.
Oh my God.
And she to this day swears she doesn't remember. Like, but I remember clearly because it was a pretty impactful moment in my life.
Oh no.
What she said to me. I can't say I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, it changed my way of thinking forever. No, it contributed towards it eventually, but
Uh-huh.
um till this day she doesn't remember yelling at me. But her name is Ashley too. Ashley yelled at me. I don't care what anybody says. But the show as I digress. The show is called Ladies First.
Hmm.
And not to give away too much of the concept because I signed a contract and we all know how that works. But essentially the show is an LGBT show, and it pretty much shows is built as a comedy, like a '90s sitcom. So it's gonna be '90s theme. So there won't be Snapchat or anything crazy like that. But it does a really good job. Like I don't know if you ever remember, Fresh Prince. Fresh Prince was hilarious and it was awesome, but there was a lot of moments where they showed you real life lessons, and the show essentially does that very well. That's one of my top shows as well is the Cosby Show, because almost at the end of every episode there was a lesson to everything that was going on.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's essentially what the show is supposed to be. It's for the LGBT community, but at the same time it shows like it's supposed to show the constant struggle of these folks who put on a smile every day, and then at the end of the day they have to deal with whatever they went through that entire day. So
That's awesome. I can't wait to view it. And
yes,
that
I'm
makes me
excited.
think about the Bernie Mac show as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
How
Yeah,
like it was funny, but then at the end, like how he would have his sit down and be like, "Hey, here's a lesson in this episode. I hope that you understood it." And
right.
that Tom Hanks, not Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, that new
Hmm.
Tim Allen show, he does that.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the show called?
I have not seen, but I heard very good things about
It's actually
the
really
show.
good.
Yeah.
Really good show. The only reason why I watched it was because my last job was so boring. Like we would literally watch TV, and I was like, I can't fucking work here. Like people love like sitting around doing nothing and getting
Right.
bored, but I can't do that. I can't sit still. Like let's do something. Let's clean something. Let's like post
Right.
something. Like uh,
Right. I
oh,
understand.
anxiety. I need medicine.
Nah, man, I'd rather see that, but there's a difference between doing nothing and doing nothing. Like, as
Yes.
crazy as it sounds, because if you get to sit down on your job for some amount of time, like, do something productive that's going to help your life outside of it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Um, but yeah, no, when you just sit there and think about it, it kind of makes the day go longer. You just sit there and think it's just dragging. I agree.
Okay. Where can people follow you?
Um, Twitter, Instagram,
You have
at King.
Twitter?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What? Why am
yeah.
I not following you on Twitter?
Yeah, same thing as Instagram is at King Santi the first, and it's not spelled the first is one ST at the end.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we mostly clown on Twitter. Like me and all my friends, we just talk shenanigans. But I try to do something good on there every once in a while. But yes, follow Deleted Reality for those who haven't seen it yet. Check it out, and I hope it helps. And comments, whether they're good or bad, we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Have
to
you guys gotten a lot of bad feedback?
not really know.
Good.
The scary thing about it is like I get a lot of I don't want to call it praise, but I get a lot of good comments about my character. Like, yeah, I like your character, and it's like,
No.
uh-oh. Oh, I'm not doing this right, but nah. But
It's the Rick and Morty problem. People identify with Rick, but it's like you shouldn't like Rick at all.
right, exactly, and that's essentially what happens with my character. Like a lot of people relate to him, and like while I feel good that I'm doing a good job being able to do, because my inspiration one day obviously is to be able to just do a lot of inspirational films that really gives people perspective on stuff they don't understand.
Yeah.
So when a lot of people relate to my character, like not only do I feel good that I did justice to what people feel, but at the same time, like I'm saddened that like how many people relate to it. It's like my character is the average 9 to 5 worker on their way back home, um, angry after their day. And it's
Yeah.
really a crazy concept, but at the same time, like I get it. I get it, but it's taught me quite a bit on how much things have changed, in this world, and we're only hoping for this can contribute towards improving it in some way, shape, or form. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you follow Nick on Twitter?
yes, yes,
He's like
I
freaking
do.
famous.
Yeah, he
It makes me
he's
mad because I'm like, yo, can you give me a shout out?
he's
We're
up there. He talks
blood.
sports a lot, though. He does. Like he talks, like he's actively in conversations with sports often.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, this is
yeah,
so frustrating. I'm like, ugh.
he's up there. He's up there. He does work. But it was so weird because me and my friend Manny were like on Twitter not too long ago, and he goes, "Yo, do you see how many followers Nick has?" And in my mind, like Nick has no other social media or ever has. So I'm like, well, it can't be that crazy because Nick is not. And I look and I'm like, what? and, and me and him were just sitting on this couch frustrated, like, yeah, like we've been putting in a little work over these years, and we're not even close.
I'm
So
not even
he's up
close.
there. Yeah. So it's funny though. We talk about it all the time, like how he's gotten up there. So well, we'll get there.
Yeah, one of these days. Okay, so you're on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook,
Yes.
obviously. Santos Torres on
Yes.
Facebook. What else do you have? Do you have like a LinkedIn or?
No, I don't have a LinkedIn. I haven't seen the need for it yet. I'm sure at some point I
Yeah.
probably will. Um, no, other than that, I mean, on the side, I'll be starting. I don't know if you guys ever heard of like gamers who like stream and stuff like that.
Okay.
But October 12th, I'll start my Twitch channel, and it's the same thing as my social media.
Yes.
But the new Call of Duty comes out, and I am going to attempt anywhere from a 12 to 24-hour stream. We'll see. I want to do 24 hours, but I
Yo.
don't know if my body will survive it. But yeah, just something to do on the side because it's my gaming is my other passion, and I figured in the time between projects that'd be something I could do because I want to be active all the time because I think anytime an artist takes an X amount of time off, he kind of gets not just rusty, but you kind of like the passion tends to fluctuate, and I
Mhm.
don't want to lose that. So um, I'll be doing that on my time off. I can't say it's going to be exactly the best thing in the world, or I can't say that I'm going to be behaving the best on that Twitch channel with these online gamers. But, if they want to see shenanigans, follow the
Yeah.
channel as well. King Sandu the First, same thing. And October 12th, well, at midnight, I'll be on there. So, you know,
Oh, that's be exhausting.
it is. It's going to be very, but it's a good excuse to sit and eat a lot of pizza. So,
Yeah. Sounds good, actually.
yeah, I look forward to it.
That's so cool. And I love how like your name is like consistent everywhere. That's
Yes, I've been
cool.
working on that. Yeah, it's
My name is
it,
too long. I didn't think about that in the first place, but like I can't quit now. I got to commit to it.
yeah, it's a cool name though. Like,
You think so?
absolutely, because nobody's. I can't think of anybody who's done that like at all. Like, it's like the Honor of Dragons, and it's like, and like that, people are probably wondering what it is.
Yeah,
And it'd be
I
so
get
cool if
questions
it's
all the
just
time.
like it doesn't mean
But
anything. I
I
just
love
love
answering it.
dragons.
I love answering it. Like yesterday,
Yeah.
someone, like I didn't even know who they were. They called me by my handle, and I was like, "That's me!" Like that's weird.
So what? Yeah. So what? I'm curious. What does that mean?
Okay, so with Game of Thrones, the Daenerys Targaryen is the mother of dragons.
Oh,
So
okay.
when I first got Instagram, I wanted to be the mother of dragons, but like everyone had that name, so I was like, I'm
Hmm.
just gonna be the aunt.
Yeah. That's
So
okay.
it,
I
so
see.
it started off super selfish and silly, and then it turned into like everyone wants to be a lion, everyone wants to be a dog, but I'm like, no, I want to be the fucking dragon.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
like that. I like that. I've only seen 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. I can't say I have. Yeah, but I
it's a
hear it's
lifestyle. It
amazing.
hurts.
Now I know
Don't
the first
don't keep
season has
watching
like
because it hurts.
7 episodes. Does every season have that much?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Cause I don't. No, because I'm considering starting to watch it, but like, because I think it's like seven. How many seasons is it? Seven, eight,
I want to say it's
six.
7 seasons. Yeah.
Okay, but if every season has 7 episodes, I'm fine. But what I don't want is for like 5 seasons to have 20 episodes, and then it being because HBO does hour long almost everything.
They
So
do.
I can't do 5 seasons of 22 episodes, an hour long. I can't do it. Not where I'm at this point in my life. Um, Maybe after the baby's born on the maternity leave, I might be able to catch up, which is actually great timing because I think that's when the last season's coming out. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot. There's a lot I want to watch right now. On top of my like eighth run of The Office, so we'll see.
Yeah, there's an abundance of TV. There's plenty of time to live and watch TV. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I know you got to get to work, and I need to get
Yes.
to hustling. Well, I'm like procrastinating because I don't want to do it, but like I know I need to do it.
I feel you. I appreciate you having me.
No, I appreciate you. We've been trying to do this for like weeks, and we
Yes.
finally did it.
Yes. We got it done. We got it done.
That's so
So
awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Get to work.
yes.
The lesson in this is just this is like the epitome of like just do it. There's like no
Absolutely.
excuse. Like if you want to start a series, just start it. And
Absolutely.
like you work with some such awesome people, Alex, Tia.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. With Alex, it's been a journey, man. It's been, Alex is I love him very much, and he'll be in town for a little bit, and unfortunate in bad circumstances, but I'm glad that he'll be here.
oh, he doesn't
Um,
live in Tampa.
no, not anymore. He moved to Atlanta. Yeah, a little while ago.
What? I'm just
Yeah,
I'm gonna move. I'm moving.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Within the next year and a half, I plan on making a move as well. Um,
do you want Atlanta as well, or
I mean, I won LA, but I was told to give Atlanta a shot first. So why not? Just give it a year. If it doesn't progress, then I can always move again. But you
yeah,
know, Atlanta seems like the next place to go. So
definitely,
we'll give it a whirl
definitely.
for sure. Well, thank you,
I gotta get
Ashley.
to
You
work.
enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take
Have you
care.
have
I'll
a
talk to you
fantastic
soon.
week. Oh, thank God it's Monday.
Yes. Execute. Make the week worth it for sure.
Yes, yes. Bye. Bye,
Take
guys.
care.
Thanks for viewing.
Yes, guys. Take care. Bye.